Good morning, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, moms and dads of all ages, makes, and models. This is the virtual chapter where we share hypnosis with virtually everybody, virtually everywhere, virtually every month. And here we are now, some 10 years or so into this project. I need to keep looking and getting the dates because I can't remember how long it's been. I mentioned in the pre-talk before we started recording here that usually the show is hosted by yours truly and our lovely co-host Karen Hand. Karen is off to Hawaii, so she's having the time of her life. Her daughter got married out there, and I saw some pictures. It looks like a beautiful, beautiful thing for her. So we are so happy for her and so missing her. She texted me right before we got started here and said to tell everybody hello and to let you know that she was having a wonderful time and she'll be back with us next month. There are a couple things coming up. First of all, while we are doing the program tonight, I would encourage you to, if you'd be so kind as to keep your mics muted. With this few people right now, it's not such a big deal, but if it grows and gets bigger, it can be an issue. Valerie mentioned her dog, for example, and what I know is if your dog barks, my dog will bark. And and the one of the things about Zoom, if you're not really familiar with it, it actually works like a CB radio in the sense that typically the conversation only goes one way. So if there's some noise coming in from somebody's microphone, it often stops us from being able to hear the speaker. But on the other hand, you can unmute yourself anytime you have something to say, and we would encourage you to do that. So please participate with us. It is a participation game after all. A couple of things I want to tell you about. Oh my gosh, this weekend coming is once again the Galaxy of the Stars. We do the Galaxy twice a year in February and in September. And this particular Galaxy of the Stars, let me see, who all do we have? We have Doug O'Brien, who's going to be talking about storytelling and hypnosis. He's just written a new book on the topic. Some of you know him because he's also done a whole lot of work with sleight of mouth and language patterns in hypnosis, and is a lovely NLP and hypnosis trainer, Ericksonian hypnosis trainer from New York. So he's going to start off the show. We're going to have Kaz Riley talk about sexuality that same afternoon and working with sexuality and the issues that she deals with in her practice. Then on the next day, we're going to have Sharon Waxkirsch, who is a medical hypnotist, and she's got a lot of great stuff to share with us. And some of you know her if you've been at the conferences, you might have met her already. And then she will be followed by none other than the absent Karen Hand, who will be making up for lost time at the end of the Galaxy of the Stars. So it's a great lineup. It's a great program. It's about $135 with late registration because at this point it's late. But if you haven't already registered and you want to show up, give a call to the IACT IMDHA office at 570-869-1021, and they will be happy to hear from you, and they'll get you all organized so that you can join us for that. Then in March, let's see, so that's this weekend. Then in March, 19th through the 23rd, 5 days with none other than me. The Certified Master Trainer program will be being hosted online. If you have an interest in becoming a hypnosis trainer and certifying people through the Association of IACT or IMDHA, that would be one of the paths that you might take to accomplish that goal. And we'd love to see you here for that. It's always a great time. And then in May, on the 16th through the 18th, is the weekend of the conference. So coming up, it's just really around the corner and time to start making your plans. And by the way, I am here in Florida, and I know, so I heard Judy, you said you're in New Jersey. Valerie, I know where you are at. And oh my God, I've been watching the maps, I've been watching the weather, and I'm telling you, it was 85 degrees today in Orlando. It'll be lovely for you to come down here and enjoy a break from all of that stuff. So we hope you will join us. So those are the announcements, the official announcements. So today, here we are, Valentine's Day, and we always start out with some little feature or featurette, as I like to call them. And today, because it's Valentine's Day, I uh, I sort of thought that there was a different way to go about it. What I'd like to do is to just share a little short, briefly potpourri of Valentine's Day wisdom as it relates to, as it relates to hypnosis and being human and having a heart, et cetera, et cetera. So I have to pick one because I don't know which one's going to come first. That's the nice thing about this in my little potpourri folder. Oh my gosh, well, I'm glad this is first because you want to end on a happy note. But on this day in 1929 in Chicago, at 2112 North Clark Street, I believe is the address, was the famous St. Valentine's Day Massacre. I don't know. It's sort of funny. I ask somebody, "What do you think about when you think of Valentine's Day?" And they say, "Oh yeah, that thing in Chicago, you know the St. Valentine's Day Massacre." Quite a story, right? And if it's an interesting story. Al Capone, by the way, was resting down here at his summer home, which is how he got away with it. He was held up at Mar-a-Lago, or oh no, somewhere on the Florida coast, at the time. But what happened? So you know the story? The short version is two police officers, or appeared to be police officers, and two men in suits that looked like they were being apprehended, were marched into a garage in Chicago where Bugs Moran's gang was all lined up and waiting for the delivery of some illegal whiskey that was going to be brought to them. But instead, the police ordered them at gunpoint to arrest them. They took their weapons away, lined them up against the wall, of course, and killed seven of them. And then the other two actually turned out to be probably part of Al Capone's gang as well. And they got away at the end of it, of course. But an interesting day in the history of Chicago. Now there is an empty place, an empty lot that has just a beautiful little iron bench that you can sit on if you want to contemplate, the lovely neighborhood, and that's what's left there of that. So there's item number one in my potpourri of St. Valentine's Day and things to share about it. Number two, this was interesting to me because a thought hit me just sort of earlier today about being a child in school. Now, I don't know how old all of you are, but the world is a very different place than the one that we grew up in. And in fact, I can't imagine, I really cannot imagine that anybody in any schools even would do such a thing now. But we gave Valentines to everybody in our class, right? We all made Valentines and stuff, but we didn't give them to everybody. We might have like in first and second grade, but beginning about third grade, everybody had a little folder uh, taped to the wall in the back of the room, and people would put Valentines in for the folks that they wanted to give them to. This is kind of an interesting thing because there was some kids that got like one, some kids that got like none, and some kids that got like 20 or something. We had like 20, 25 people or 30 people. Sometimes I think was a typical classroom when I was in grade school. So what a different thing and what a different way of being. Now I think you'd have to give one to everybody or none to anybody, most likely, is the way it would work. And you can't, and by the way, the other nice thing that I remember about being in school is holidays and stuff. We always got stuff with lots of sugar in it. You remember sugar? How lovely that was, in school at those special days. So there's two things. Third thing, neurolinguistic programming and Valentines. It occurs to me that there are a couple of things that NLP did that I thought was interesting and got my attention, quite early on. I remember in a really early NLP presentation, John Grinder was talking about the notion of associating and dissociating, not just from your experience, but from, how do I want to say, from con specific contexts. So, like for example, one of the things that they said in, I think, their first book, in Frogs into Princes, I believe is where you'll find it, is that the experience of falling in love with somebody because, these were the things that they modeled everything, right? The experience of falling in love with somebody was that you would associate with everything that was good and wonderful about that person. So, and I don't know if you've ever had this experience, but either you've been in the experience yourself or you know somebody who's been where they were really engaged. They found somebody, new and wonderful in their life. They were just beaming, but somebody took exception to it. They thought, I don't know if I would really trust that guy if I were you, et cetera, et cetera. And they would try to warn their friend, oh, don't get involved with them. But you don't hear anything that's negative. You don't associate with anything negative, only all of the good stuff, right? And the rest of it just bounces off and is couldn't possibly be true. And the way to fall, so that's the way to fall in love with somebody is to associate with everything positive and wonderful about them, right? The way to fall out of love with somebody, of course, is to do just the opposite of that, to associate. And I bet you know some people like this. Every time you hear their name, you think about all kinds of bad, awful, terrible things about them, and whenever anybody says something good about them, it's like, oh no, no, that couldn't possibly be true at all. So it becomes just the opposite. I thought it was an interesting thing. And in this area, of course, and particularly, at least when I was new in NLP, it seemed that the community was an interesting community because it was folks that were therapists and social workers and touchy-feely tree huggers and hippies looking for what was the next the next place to go, you know, and so they were really interested in relationships, which is something, of course, we still are interested in, and it's why we're here tonight, in fact, and why we have our lovely guest this evening as well. But one of the things that NLP often taught in seminars and workshops was how to get rapport, how to create connection with people, how to be able to sort of pace their values and stuff so as to get kind of in line with them and develop a sense of relationship with them as opposed to a sense of difference from them, right? But to emphasize this, we are alike and we can be together because we have all of this stuff in common. And and then the other issue was because also in the same community there are a lot of folks who were stuck in dysfunctional relationships or had problematic relationships and couldn't really quite find their way to get out of them and how to get unstuck. And so NLP created really early on a pattern that's the releasing enmeshment pattern. And I want to give you just the quick and dirty, very quick and dirty outline of the releasing and measurement pattern because I think it's sort of a useful one to think about because it's not just about relationships. It may be about letting go of something in your life that you really need to let go of and you haven't been able to. But the way that it works essentially is if you think about this enmeshment, it could be about your job, by the way, or your boss, or any number of places where you could apply it. So the idea is to imagine, to take a moment and and just in this imaginal reality, to get a sense of how it is you think about this enmeshment or this connection. Enmeshment is a nice word because to me it sounds like somebody's taken one of those old casting fishing nets and thrown it over the two of you, and your entanglement would be maybe even a better way to think about that. Some people think of it as a rope or a cable or a cord that connects them to somebody else, right? There are a number of ways that people visualize and process this, and however they do that is just fine. In the releasing enmeshment pattern, the thing that you have them do is to get clear about that experience first. How do they visualize it? How do they represent it? And to imagine and to have them imagine that they've got like saber hands, that they could just cut through that thing to get free. But to imagine that they're about to do that and stop just short of severing the connection. And to notice what happens at that moment when they're just shy of severing the connection. Because I think it's an important ecological check. It's important that people sort of recognize what it is that they're talking about when they think about breaking a relationship. Okay. But then finally, if all is well and they go, yeah, that's good, I'm ready, I really want to do this. It isn't just as simple as just sever the connection. It's while you're having this conversation with your client about how to do this, you suggest to them that there is that person across from them that they have this relationship with, and that while you were discussing all of this, that just to the right of that person, their ideal self, their highest self, their best self has presented itself as well. So you have the person and then you have their highest self there. And just to the right of your client is his or her highest self as well. So the idea is that in a moment, you're going to sever that connection. But when you do, you are going to connect them to their highest self. And you're going to connect you to your highest self in the process as well. In the same way that that connection had been formed with the other person that you are now ready to release. Was an interesting one. And, one of the many curious patterns that shows up every once in a while in a master practitioner program or something, in NLP. And I thought I'd like to share that one with you. So there we are. Let's see, we've got school, traditions. Ah, St. Valentine. You've heard about St. Valentine, right? You know this guy. I used to have a landlord. When I was in college, I had a landlord for a while. His name was, honest to God, he and his wife were Hap and Marie Valentine. His last name was Valentine, and from the time he grew up, everybody called him Happy, and Hap became his nickname. So Hap Valentine. But in fact, Saint Valentine lived in the third century. He was a bishop in the early church. And I think this is as the Roman Empire was engaged in a lot of wars at the time, right? He's in Rome, by the way. He was in Rome. So the empire was involved in a whole lot of wars. They needed soldiers, stuff, and were trying to get the men to fight the wars. But the men were becoming less and less interested in fighting the wars because they just weren't really getting anywhere. They weren't making any progress. They weren't as patriotic as they had once been, and they were much more interested in getting married and settling down. So Claudius, the emperor, passed a law against matrimony, period, altogether. And well, Saint Valentine, the bishop, was secretly marrying people in Christian marriage ceremonies. And well, eventually Claudius, caught up with the idea and they threw him in jail. Now, while he was in jail, it is said that one of the jailers, like the head jailer or whatever it is, the guy that runs the warden in Chicago movies, but the but the head jailer had a daughter who was blind. And the head jailer had heard that Saint Valentine was performing miracles and doing various things, and Valentine wanted to convert everybody, of course, because you know how those people are, and the jailer rather said to him, if you can show me the validity of your faith by healing my daughter's blindness, I will do anything that you ask. So guess what? St. Valentine, they brought the girl in, and St. Valentine touched her eyes and said the magic words, and lo and behold, she could see. But the jailer didn't really keep his promise because he wasn't in a position to just let Valentine go. And sadly, St. Valentine was executed on the 14th of February, which is why this is the day and St. Valentine's Day. And well, that's the gist of the story. But one of the last things that Saint Valentine did was he wrote a note to the little girl that he had healed from blindness, and they say that it was on a heart-shaped piece of parchment. And he wrote this little note to her, giving her his blessing, and signed it, "Your beloved Valentine." So there we go, the first Valentine that ever there was. Now, let's see. Okay, so one last thing. Y'all know Harry Nilsson. I'm really disappointed that we can't play music and stuff without running into copyright issues with YouTube. When you try to publish these things, you'll get stopped. But Harry Nilsson wrote this lovely song that I just want to share a couple of lines with you. He says, and it's sort of a takeoff on a country song, so you got to kind of imagine the vibe, right? He says, "The other day I met a girl named Joy. She said, "Come here, Roy. I want to make you my joy boy." Says, "Well, things went good, then things went bad. Now, every time I think of joy, it makes me feel sad. It makes me feel real sad." And the chorus is, "Joy to the world was a beautiful girl, but to me, joy meant only sorrow." And then in the best talking country music voice that you possibly can do, he says, "Now, if you never had a question, if you never had an answer, then you'd never have a question. And if you never had a question, then you'd never have a problem. And if you never had a problem, then everyone would be happy. And if everyone was happy, then there'd never be a love song. Joy to the world was a beautiful girl, but to me, joy meant only sorrow." And there we are. Words of wisdom. I know, words of wisdom about love from the lovely Harry Nilsson. So that's about it. Now we are here tonight to hear from Shelley Stockwell Nicholas. And you know, I don't know where to even start to talk about this lady because I have known her for quite some while. I told her, earlier, I said, when I think about the early days of neurolinguistic programming and hypnosis and all of these things, she's one of the first people that comes to my mind because she's been there through it all. She wrote the stage hypnosis encyclopedia of stage hypnosis with Orman McGill and book after book after book. By the way, if you want to learn how to model something, here's a lady who gets up in the morning. Now I don't know if this is still true, but but I bet it is. Who gets up in the morning and the first thing she does is she gets herself in front of her word processor and and just starts cranking it out and cranking it out. And God bless you for your discipline at doing that because it makes a difference. So a huge library of books credited to her. And now with Brenda Rhodes here, she has come up with yet another one called Great Relationships, which is why, being Valentine's Day month, there it is right there on the screen. I thought it was perfect person for us to hear from. So, so Shelley, hello.
Hello, Michael. So glad to be here.
Yeah, so glad to have you.
So you've certainly done the yin and yang of Valentine's Day.
Joy to the world.
I feel slightly slaughtered there in the warehouse with those poor guys. I don't know. Still getting over the shock of that.
Yeah.
Anyway, what I wanted to talk about was you guys. How many of you are seeing clients? Or all of you seeing clients? Raise your hand if you're seeing clients. Okay. And so what is it that a client comes to you for? And you can unmute yourself right now to answer this question. Why would a client come to see you?
They want to make something
Yeah.
better.
Yes, that's right. Why else? Anybody else? Why would they come to see you?
Sleep issues.
Sleep issues. Yeah, they have issues. They have things they want to make better. What else?
Relationship problems.
Yes, they usually have a relationship problem. Usually it's a relationship
Trauma.
with themselves.
Hmm.
They have a relationship problem with themselves. They are partaking in what I call the Polish fist fight. They're beating themselves up for something that they did or didn't do, or whatever. They're harsh with themselves, and they have not learned a skill set of how to celebrate their very existence. And so when Brenda and I were in my backyard swinging on the swing, looking out at the ocean, we said, hey, we're really good friends. We should write a book about relationships. What does that mean? Well, that put us on a whole journey, a whole road of what does it mean to have a great relationship, starting with yourself. And it's an interesting thing because it's come to my attention that we have lots of selves. Think about yourself right now. How many yous are sitting in that body looking at this Hollywood Squares thing? How many can you count how many yous you have? How many people are you? I mean, you're like facets on a diamond. There's hundreds of you probably.
We are legion.
There we go. You're counting. Good girl. So, I mean, how many? I mean, call it out. What do you think? How many yous are there?
50.
50 yous maybe. Okay. So
5.
5. Okay. And they're all like various viewpoints, reality tunnels, various modalities of moving forward, moving back, living now. Um, you know, the loving you, the not so loving you, the funny you, the serious you. I mean, there's all these kinds of varied yous. And a lot of people do subpersonality work when you think about it. So, subpersonality work has been renamed, named, renamed, and renamed and renamed. In my dictionary script book that I wrote, there's zillions of them, and I have some on my screen here, like subpersonalities, advanced parts therapy, archetypal parts therapy, ecology, ego states, engram, entity typing, family constellations, fugue, gestalt, holodynamics, inner child work, integration work, internal family therapy, mini-me's, parts therapy, parts hypnotherapy, parts imagery, parts psychology, parts therapy, polypsychic work, polypsychosynthesis, structural reintegration, and actional analysis and voice dialogue. They're all the same stuff. That means that somebody, just like you or me, decided that we were going to coin a phrase and sell the product because we've been doing that. And I say we, the collective helpers of the world, we like to sell our system or our protocol or our way of framing things. Well, so when I sat down with Brenda, we were saying, well, we're going to write a book about great relationships. Well, first of all, do we even know how to do that? And we had to really, we did some great soul searching, Brenda and I, about what is a great relationship, starting with yourself. And it occurred to me that a lot of people are very cruel to themselves. So we're going to start with thinking about you right now, all of you on this forum and all of you watching this. I'd like you to take a moment and close your eyes and just think that the next thing I think about is what is it like to love myself 20% more? What is it like if I loved myself 20% more? And think about that. And as you're thinking about it, when you think of something, nod your head that you have got one idea, maybe more, maybe many. I mean, I might not eat junk food. That's one that came to my mind. Just nod your head when you're thinking of some of the things you might do. 20% more loving to yourself. Maybe you'll speak more kindly to yourself. Maybe you won't call yourself names. Maybe you'll, take yourself out for a treat like you would your best friend. Maybe right now, give yourself a big hug. Put one hand on one shoulder, one hand on the other shoulder, and go ahead and give yourself a hug. And think to yourself, I'm learning new ways to love myself. I am learning new ways to love myself because I am me and I'm a miracle. And I got here, I got an earth walk, and I made it through all these years and all these adventures. And I learned so much along the way. And here I am in this moment. Take a deep breath. Ah. And go ahead and smile on yourself. Go ahead and smile all over yourself. Oh, go ahead and laugh on yourself. Laugh all over yourself. Isn't that an interesting feeling? To love yourself just a little bit more. Slide your hands down your arms and look at your hands. You see those hands that you're looking at? those hands are the same hands you discovered when you were a little baby. So look at those hands very carefully, because they could be rediscovered right now, because those are your hands. And notice how fun it is to play with them. And if you run your fingers together, you can feel the little grooves of the skin. And you can say, man, I'm loving myself just a little bit more, because these are my hands. Look how wonderful my body is. Oh, aren't I amazing? And go ahead and put your hands on your cheeks. And look at yourself in the Hollywood Square right now. Or those at home, just think about looking at yourself in a mirror. And see how adorable you are. Maybe you forgot how adorable you are. Look at yourself the way a loving mother would look at a lovely child. Because this is loving yourself just that little bit more. Take a deep breath. Let it out with a nice, ah. Good job. So the first person in this multi-universe called you is yourself. And to have a great relationship starts here. But we've got it all ass backwards in our cultures very often. We're told, don't be selfish, don't respect yourself more than others, do unto others first, and then consider yourself. Be the great giving tree that Shel Silverstein wrote about, and be all chopped down so somebody can take advantage and sit on you in your old age. You know, just this ridiculous paradigm of disavowing self to give to others at the expense of self. And that's the way our culture sort of framed it for a long time. Don't be selfish. Well, I'm sorry, folks. If you're not selfish, you won't eat properly. You won't get exercise. You won't be on the good red road to honor the gifts that God hid inside of you. So the first thing Brenda and I thought about was, let's think of subpersonalities as three parts in terms of relationships. So what I'd like you to do, if you have a piece of paper and pencil handy, or you can just think about this, think about a hat that would represent loving me, and draw a picture of the me hat. Whatever picture comes to mind, just do a little sketch. I'm going to do it too. Just a little sketch of a me hat. What would your me hat look like if it was just the most terrific me hat there is in the universe? Just a terrific hat. Mine's a pretty simple hat, just got a simple little brim, because I'm a pretty simple person. Maybe it's even a straw hat. I got a flower in mine. Got a daisy, because daisies don't tell. Unmute yourself. Tell me about your hat that you drew, please. Let's hear some about your hats. You can show it to us if you want to, if you drew it.
It's one of those hats that has a wide rim, and it's a bit wider. It's
Nice.
a bit
Flirty. Yeah, okay. How about you, Judy? What did you draw? Unmute, please.
Kind of faded out a little bit, so
Oh, you did? Okay, but if you were wearing a me hat, what would your me hat look like? You think about it. Something that would
I'll think about it.
Yeah, something that would flatter you. Valerie, what came to mind?
Well, I went through like in my mind like a series of hats. Like I'm like, oh, do I want cute, like a little baseball hat? But I had a fun cowboy hat when I was younger and everything. But I ended up actually very similar to what you described. It's kind of like a sun hat, I guess, with a little bit of a brim, not too wide. But
Yeah,
I had like a ribbon around it. I didn't have a daisy on mine, but I had like a little flower or a little leafy thing, feathery thing hanging from the back of it.
cool. Michael, what'd you get? You're mute. You're unmuted. You need to unmute, sweetheart.
There we go. It kept changing on me. First it was like a simple little fedora, but it had to have a feather in it, right? But then the more I got interested in the feather, it became more of a like Peter Pan or Robin Hood sort
Perfect,
but it
perfect,
needed the
perfect,
feather.
perfect. Carmen, what'd you get? You got that one. Brenda, what did you get? That's right. Brenda got one.
I got a leprechaun.
Oh, that's perfect. Rashna, what did you get?
So I got two. So I got a very, I got a very Indian style veil in the back, and they're covering, showing my face completely, flowing hair, and like a very elegant kind of a hat. In that sense, not really a hat, but like a back veil.
Yeah, very nice. And Claudia?
You got a park ranger's hat. Very simple.
Let's see. Hold it up. Hold it by your camera so you can see it.
It's just simple park ranger.
That's
you know.
cute. That's so cute. Okay. Diana, what did you get?
I had like a big sombrero, velvety, like that felt material and sequins.
Nice. And Irina, what did you get? She got to unmute herself. And while she's doing that, Amanda, what did you get? So Irina told me, wrote a message. She said she got a fedora. Okay, Amanda got a fedora with a flower added too, okay? And Irina, show me again what you got. Let's see, it's probably in the comments. A gardening visor. Okay, got it. Now, isn't it interesting? Here we are. We all came up with a notion of a visual cue of how we would frame it if we were wearing the me hat. Now, put your me hat on. Everybody put it on your head. When you're wearing the me hat, you're tuned into your self-talk. When you're wearing the me hat, you're keenly aware of how you operate, good or bad, right or wrong. You're aware of your moods, and you're aware of your not moods, and you're aware of when you're tuned in and when you're tuned out. You're aware of being unaware. You're being absolutely self-absorbed. Are you with me? That's subpersonality 1. Take off the me hat. Let's put it down next to you. Now there's a second hat we wear that is completely different. And that's the you hat. You see, that's subpersonality. If it's done well to be a great relationship, you have to get over yourself. Now, as a hypnotist, the hardest thing that I find my students have to deal with is I tell my students, when the client is in front of you, get over yourself. The session has nothing to do with you whatsoever. You are a paid mirror and a parrot. And the moment you tell them your story and you kill them softly with your song, you disavow their perfection as a me. So the you hat is you doing the work that I think we do, which is being the parrot and the mirror. So go ahead, and what kind of hat will you wear as the you hat? Think about it as a separate personality. And go ahead and either draw it or frame it in your mind. I'm putting a dunce cap on me because I don't know a thing about that person. Because the moment I think I know about that person, I'm sliming them. So I'm going to just stay stupid and reflective and really listen well. What hat did you get, Brenda?
I got a beanie with a ball on top because it keeps everything to me while I'm listening to that client.
Oh, nice. Okay. Anybody else want to share their you hat?
It will be seriously listening, just listening and deep observing, whatever shape that comes into.
Very nice. Okay. Anybody else want to share their you hat?
Mine's a graduation cap.
Oh, nice. Very nice. Okay. Somebody else? It's a different hat. Michael, you got a different one for the you hat? What is it, Michael? Unmute yourself.
Yeah, well, it's funny. I mentioned last time I said it kept changing because it started out to be a fedora and turned into this, this more, outrageous hat. But this one was more of a fedora. It's just something like a business,
Down to
business.
business. You're
Yeah.
in business. Okay, good. How about you, Claudia? What did you get? You got to unmute, sweetheart.
I also got a beanie. It's
Oh, you got a beanie also. Okay. Anybody else want to share? Just unmute and speak up.
I got an iron mask, was my first instinct.
Oh, interesting. That's very interesting. So that's gear, headgear of sorts. Anybody else? I just saw an advertisement for these things they're selling, which is light therapy, where you wear a mask, where you look like some freak with a light on your face, and you're supposed to do something for your skin. I can't figure it out, but that's neither here nor there. Okay, so we have this second position, this second sub-self, which if you're doing it well and you're really loving that client, you are in countenance, you are observing, feeding back, and giving them what they came for. You're not killing them softly with your song. You're not telling them they didn't come to hear about you. One of my friends is a psychotherapist. I met her at a party and she said, Shelley had a real comeuppance one day. I said, really, what happened? She said, well, I was on when you go online and they recommend that you go to somebody in your neighborhood for therapy or for counseling or whatever, I forget the name of the website. Anyway, they write reviews about how the sessions went, for the public, for the world. And this person said, that was the worst therapy I've ever had in my entire life. All she did was talk about herself.
Mm.
And this therapist said it was a big kick in the shin, and she was correct. That's all I did. And I was not doing the work. So I recommend to you, if you're going to be doing the work, if you're going to love somebody else, shut the hell up. Get over yourself and be a mirror and a parrot and see what happens. And put on the you hat, take off the me hat, put it down, put on the you hat, and become the omniscient observer that feeds back, meets them in their world, and allows them the respect of doing it their way, because they know themselves a whole lot better than you will ever know them. Even if you sleep with them every night, you'll never know them like they know themselves. Are you guys with me? Nod your head if you get that. It's really important, right, Brenda? I mean, at least Brenda and I thought it was really important. Okay, so take off the you hat now. Set it on the other side. There's a third hat, and you probably know what it is already. It's the we hat. The we hat is the collective group. And if you look at this Hollywood Squares screen right now, we're a group. We're like-minded buddies. We're hanging out together. We have similar concerns and interests. We're all very different. Every one of us is unique unto ourselves, a world unto ourselves. When we die, someday we all will, our secrets will go with us, and we will have been a world unto ourselves. But together, we're something amazing. We're the community of like-minded people that is dedicated to helping change the world for good, one person at a time. And we do that with great respect for humanity. Am I correct? And that collective is something that is to be respected. And anyone watching this, if you go to work, you're part of a team. And if you get married or you form a partnership with a mate, you have the me, the you, and we have the us. The team that is now coming together to decide, what do we want for this relationship? What do we want to happen? The book is broken into these three parts because each hat, each perception has its own set of rules on how to move forward in the best, most uplifting, nurturing way. So right now, I'd like you to think about maybe a relationship you're in. Could be with a mate, with a friend, with your family, with your parents, your kids, or your community, or with the hypnosis community, or with your neighbors. I don't know what it is. And when you're thinking of something, write it down. Write it down, that thing you're thinking of. And if you could be better at it, better at that we think thing, how can you honor self, honor the individuals in the group, and yet have a commonality within the structure of these individuals? How can you do it? What way can you be more user friendly so that this group of people or this partnership can flourish in a better way? And I recommend making a contract, even with the others, or definitely in your mind. I coach a lot of people who are running corporations right now. I'm coaching a quarterback for a major league team, and I'm coaching a man who's the head of an AI company. And in both those cases, they have to work as a team or it won't work. They'll never have it done. They'll never win the game. They'll never get the contract. They'll never do what it is. Spencer Hum, a great hypnotist, he coaches teams to go and present ideas of engineer teams to go to the US government to get billion-dollar contracts to sell their wares, the engineers' wares. Well, engineers don't necessarily know how to talk to people, groups, but there's very specific ways to talk to a group for a group think. So right now, look at us. Here we are. We've got one male, a lot of females in this little pod of ours on screen. We've got lots of other people watching. But as you think about this pod called helpers, healers, spiritualists, or whatever we want to call ourselves, what is the goal of this wonderful collective? Write it down. Write down thoughts. What is the goal of this collective we call hypnotists or helpers or healers or caretakers, or however you want to frame it? What is the goal? Could be one word or many. When you've got your word, you can unmute and just share the word or the words. What would be the goal of the we hat?
And I'm gonna have two words:
Yes.
healing and evolution.
Nice. Okay. Somebody else?
Yeah, I've got evolution as well and expansion.
Nice. Valerie?
I had help people help themselves.
I had uplift. What did you have, Judy? You want to share it?
Healing and inspiration.
Wow, good. And Rashna, what did you get?
Freedom.
Freedom. Brenda?
Lightheartedness.
Diana?
Yes.
Nice. Claudia?
I had connect with inner self, with inner wisdom. I'm sorry.
Inner wisdom. Amanda? So she's writing, she writes me a message, I know. So what's happening here is that if the group can get on the bus together, the bus is going to go somewhere very good. But if the bus has people wanting to go in different destinations, we got problems. We got problems. It's like getting on a boat and everyone has an oar. And some people are paddling to go this way, but no, if somebody wants to go back that way, you're going to go in a circle. You're not going to go anywhere. And that's what happens a lot with condominium management companies, or that's what happens when you get little people running big things and they don't know what to do, but they're on a power trip, or they think it's all about me and how my idea. But no, it has to be a collective. It has to be, how do you run the collective? Okay, now everybody pick up the we hat. What kind of hat are we going to put on for the we hat? What's the we hat that you're going to wear when you're with your mate or your family? Or what is it? True to those words you wrote down? I wrote upliftment because I'm hoping that would be my goal in every group. I would hope that I'm user friendly to the goal of the group. But what happens if the group has a goal you don't agree with? I'd say get the hell out of Dodge. That's what I'd say. I'd say get out of that job or get out of that relationship if it's toxic. But that's me. I run away from things. But maybe you have a better plan. But what's really important when you're coaching people like I am, coaching people who are at the top of their rung, I have to teach them how to engage everyone to get on the bus and go to the same destination so that everybody's on board with the destination, or we're not going to get anywhere and we're going to be very frustrated individuals, very frustrated lovers, and very frustrated groups. So that's a very interesting concept. Are you with me on this? So what's your hat like? The we hat. The group think hat.
Do you want the shape or do you want the words?
Oh, both.
Okay, the shape of the hat would be a combination of a cartwheeler and a boater.
Oh, nice. Okay.
Yeah. So that's my original hat anyway. And the hat itself, a consciousness of a hat would be bridging the needs, supply and demand. And in our profession, it would be bridging the needs of service and the service and demand.
Right. Okay. So how about anybody else want to share? What would be the need or the thing your hat? What is your hat like? This thing. Mine just has, I don't know. I'm thinking like ephemeral spaghetti, just reaching out into the cosmos in bringing a nice. Well, Michael said it, like throwing a net around this group and thinking of us as a school of fish that all want to just let the net go and then travel together as a team. That's what I think. Anybody else? What are you thinking when you think the we, the group of that? Just unmute and speak out.
I had a cowboy hat because it's sturdy and solid. And when you work together, you're a collective, and working together allows everybody to be more stronger within themselves because they have that support.
Nice. You know, I've been putting on hypnosis conferences for a long time, for many, many years. And it occurred to me one day, I was really bored with hypnosis conferences. I was bored because a lot of times the people in the audience knew more than the speakers. But the people in the audience didn't have a voice. And I thought that was a failing. So I put on conferences now where everyone has a voice, and anyone who comes to a conference has the right to speak. They have 10 minutes to speak about anything they like. If they don't want to speak, they don't have to. And then we have a few keynoters that speak longer. And I found that to be very effective because what happens is you learn from other people things you would never have thought of. Like right now, we're learning from each other as we share these ideas, aren't we? So let's think about the fugue, the subpersonality, the I don't know, all those words I told you earlier. Let's think of ourselves as three beings, three focuses, three reality tunnels. Let's think of ourselves as the me. Give yourself a hug again. Slide your arms down. Look at your hands. Discover them again. Kiss each palm. Put it on your cheeks. Repeat after me. I'm perfect just the way I am. And as I am becoming is becoming to me. I'm perfect just the way I am, and as I am becoming is becoming to me. I honor the gifts that are hidden within me, or that I've discovered already. I honor the past by the lessons I've learned. And I honor the present by being in my senses. And I honor the future by stepping forth into things that are nourishing to my soul. Big hug. How does that sit with you? That's the great relationship, perhaps, that we're going for. But then you got to move out of that and think about someone you love. And think about how you could be 10% more loving to that person, 10% more kindly to that person, 10% more respectful to that person. It's a nice concept, isn't it? You don't have to be with anyone if you don't want to be. But if you're going to hang out with them, or you're going to help them with therapy, or you're going to really care about their welfare, you better get over yourself. You just better get over yourself. And the easiest way is to just be a good listener. Like somebody said in the group, I think it was Valerie, just be a good listener. One of you said that, Brenda said it. Anyway, just be a good listener. And repeat back their words and their phrases and model their body language. And you'll be on board with them, and you'll get over yourself. Because folks, you will kill them softly with your song, and they'll resent the hell out of you. And now take a deep breath again. And think about any commitment you've made to another person or a group. And think about how you could be 10% more agreeable or more productive or more successful in the group think. How can you be either a follower or a leader or a co-founder, a co-former of this collective? What can you do to make it more user-friendly for everyone, because they're all centered on themselves? Each one deserves to be loved 100%. But we're in a group, and we have goals as a group. How can you do that? Just think about it. How can you get along with the people in the homeowners association without standing up and saying, you guys are screwed up? How can you do that? How can you say, wow, let's all focus on what we really want. We want this homeowners association to work better. How can we do it as a group? What steps can we take to be a community? She can't bring out the trash. How can we bring it out for her? What can we do collectively? If they don't agree with your ideas, go like this. Put your hand up like this, everybody. What letter is that? It's a W, isn't it? Put it on your forehead and go, whatever. Stay in the neutrality and get out of the high drama of the group think. And you'll prosper much better in a group situation. So we have these three positions, three reality tunnels, and they're very, very distinct and very separate. And most people haven't taken the time to think about it, but Brenda and I did. And we think this is one of the ways to bring people what they really come to hypnosis for. They come to have great relationships, one with themselves, two with another person, and three with the groups they live in or the commitments they've made. And you can help form that. So the whole book that we wrote is all about exercises to do that. Things you do with your beloved before you make a commitment to marry them or move in with them, or agreements that you make, a lot of suggestive questioning, a lot of understanding, and a lot of active listening. So that was kind of a really important aspect. Now, I've just given you a big talk, a big lecture, and we participated together. It was a lot of fun for me. I hope it was fun for you. But let's now check it out and see if there's any takeaway for you. And here's another parts therapy idea. Are you ready? Sit up straight and close your eyes and breathe to your brain and see if your brain has any ideas that you will take away from this talk today. This is part one of parts therapy, your brain. Is your brain in agreement with any of these thoughts of the hats, the attitudes, the keywords? If so, nod your head. That's part one. Let's breathe to the heart. Go to your heart. This is another perspective, completely different, just like the three hats. Is your heart going to take away anything from this? And if so, what will your heart take away? What is the gift that the heart will bring in your perception? It may not agree with the brain. I don't know. It might. It's a different viewpoint, a different way of being, a different part. Now breathe to the gut. All the way to the gut. The gut is where your emotions live. Hypnotists call it the abdominal brain. Is your gut going to take away anything about this talk today that will benefit you in the group dynamic, in the relationship commitment, in the group think? And what will that be? What emotionally will you take away that will benefit you to be a better groupie, for want of a better word, a better team player? Let's see what the gut has to say. So those are three parts, but let's find another part. Sit up quite straight. And please imagine with me that behind you is your higher self, your all-knowing self, your all-gnawing self, your wise beyond wise self. That part of you that's always been there voicing the truth from the time you were in your mother's womb. When things were foul or okay, you knew it. The part that has said, don't do that or do this. Check in with your higher self and see what the higher self will take away from this talk. Remember to breathe, please. The higher self's always there talking to you if you'll just pay attention and listen or heed its advice. Because that part of you knows more than any other part of you, the truth. The whole truth and nothing but the truth. What's the takeaway from there? And when you've got something, nod your head. Well, let's find another part. Reach up beyond the higher self to God or goddess or space cadets or whatever you believe in. Belly button lint, I don't care. Jesus, Mary, Mohammed, I don't care. But you do. So reach up higher to spirit and see what the takeaway is from the point of view of spirit, from that sub-personality. What's your takeaway from this talk today? And how can you integrate into your greatness the different aspects of self that are facets on the jewel that has your name? How can you be the best version of yourself regardless of the hat you're wearing or the position of your perspective? When you've got a notion, you might not even have a word, you just may have a knowing. Go ahead and smile. Go ahead and smile on yourself. Smile all over yourself. Laugh on yourself. Laugh all over yourself. Because you got an earth walk. And you got the gift of love. Because you were conceived by love. Because your mom and dad one day got cozy and put you in that place real rosy. You are a product of love. You started out as a one-cell critter who didn't require a babysitter. But expansive you spread and divided, you made your mother quite lopsided, and shortly after out you came, that fuzzy person without a name. And it isn't wild that you showed up that day and not your little brother. And what were you doing just before you fattened up your mother? Your fixtures might have been the opposite gender, or any color, your skin so tender. You might have arrived in a Bangladesh hovel, thinking of food as something novel. So celebrate life, because you're a Freudian slip. You could have been lost twixt the cup and the lip. Tap your thymus, tap your chest. Repeat after me. I'm perfect just the way I am, just the way I am becoming. Just the way I'm becoming is becoming to me. I honor different viewpoints of myself as separate and unique, yet they work as a team to make me a multifaceted, multi-gifted human. And so it is, and so it shall be. Deep breath in. Hands above your head. The word is yes. 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 Good job. All right. So how are we doing in there? Is everybody doing well? Eyes wide open. We're doing good. Please be kind. I love your shirt. It's beautiful. Everybody unmute yourself, please, simultaneously. Thank you. Okay. Anything you want to say to me or to the group?
You are delicious, Shelley.
Thank you. So are you. I could lick you. Anybody else? Anything you want to say? And any questions or any thoughts or anything you want to share?
I just really loved that part where like a version of the parts therapy, like what is your, what is your mind takeaway? What is your heart takeaway? What is your gut feeling takeaway? Loved it. Loved it.
Good. I use it a lot with clients, and I'll tell you how I use it. If they're having a conflict, something's really a problem, we have to get the mind, heart, gut in alignment. And then we call on the higher self to give a viewpoint. I call my work that I teach, I train people in higher self hypnosis. I have a very unique style. It's my Stockwell method, but it's very focused on this higher self, which means different things. If it's an intellectualized person who's, an engineer, usually they don't understand higher self. So I just say, talk to your brain. Works just the same. Okay. Doesn't matter what their frame, but I have to meet them in their world so they can do that. But then if there's conflict between head, heart, and gut, and the higher self chimes in, or God or goddess or the highest power, suddenly things seem to go back into alignment. It's a beautiful process. And I use it often. I also use something from I've written 27 books, but the last book I wrote before Brenda and I wrote the Great Relationships book was on the vagal nerve. And I use a lot of vagal nerve stuff. And I don't know if I have time, but I could teach you the vagal nerve induction I use. It's very simple.
I love it.
It works really well. Okay. So this is how I would talk to a client, and you can keep your mics on. Oh, Amanda, you're so cute. Welcome. Okay. So just keep your mics on because I'd like you to participate with it if you'd like. Okay. So I would say to them, I'm saying to you, and we'll do it together. Take a nice full breath. So everybody do that. Hold it and let it out. That's good. That was a good breath. Now let's do it again and let out a nice big out sound. Okay, a big ow, sound together. Shall we? We'll kind of send it out to those watching. Ready? Here we go. Breath in. Feels good, doesn't it? That's because the vagal nerve likes it when you vibrate your throat. And the out breath is most pleasing to the vagal nerve, and it makes you feel safe neurologically and biochemically. Okay. So now we're going to do the induction that is really fun to do using this same principle of breath and out breath. So this time, close your eyes and sit up straight. The vagal nerve likes a straight spine. And with your eyes closed, breathe in and look up. Hold it. And when you're ready and not before, breathe out and look down with a nice ah. Good job. Keep your eyes closed. Again, breathing in, looking up, holding it. All that your lungs can hold, and all the way up, and as if you can look out the top of your head almost. Hold it. And when you let it out of your belly button with your eyes closed, looking down. Right out your belly button and just relax all the way down, all the way down, deeper and deeper and deeper down into the center of your being, the core of your being, starting at your anus, your sexual organs, through your gut, through your heart, through your lungs, through your spine, all the way up to your brain, all the way up to the cord that hangs you like a God hook from the heavens. And be a strand now, with your feet on earth and your head in the clouds. And be a strand between heaven and earth. And know that you are a gift to yourself, to the planet, and that you're a one of a kinder. In the whole history of the world, there's not another one like you. And we're so grateful that you're here on this earth walk with us. Now go ahead and smile on yourself. Smile all over yourself. Laugh on yourself. Laugh all over yourself. Now and relax, knowing that every day in every way you just get better and better and better. Every day in every way I'm getting better and better and better and better. And sing with me, every day.
Every day.
I'm getting better, better and better,
Better.
better,
Better and better and better
In
and
every
better.
way we're getting better and better.
better and better.
And take a deep breath. I'm proud to be me. I'm
And
proud to
proud
be me. And I also see, and I also see,
And I also
And I also see
you're just as proud to be you. You're
Yes, it's proud to be you.
just as proud to be you.
We may look at things a bit differently. We may look at things a bit differently.
You may look at things
Things a bit
differently.
Differently.
Lots of good people do.
That's
There's
just
lots of good people here.
It's just human nature. It's
just
just
human nature.
So why should I hate you for being
So,
as human as I? So why should I hate you for being as human as I? We each live as we learn. We each live as we learn. We each live as we learn. And we learn as we live. And we'll all get along because we try. Take a deep breath. Ah. What are y'all doing in there? Come back, eyes open, big stretch. The word is yes. 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 How you doing? Did you learn from me? I hope you did. Any
That's
takeaways?
awesome.
Any takeaways? Just call them out.
All right, I'm not afraid to speak. So we talked about communities and some Romanian, there are some Romanian communities, newly formed one that there's a lot of resistance there. So I've been working on building another community, which I've done before, that would meet the needs of people. Long and behold, I just decided in my heart, this other community that I wanted to meet the needs of people over there. It was, in my heart, I said, okay, well, goodbye. I'll be meeting the needs of people in other ways that I know. And then somebody called me, a friend of mine, Romanian friend of mine, to to get form and run this bigger, better Romanian community. So I'm thrilled. We're having I've incorporated non-for-profits before, so I'm really excited about it. And I'm gonna take the bus. I'm gonna take your bus. And remind everybody, I remind people, it's such a good metaphor that it's going to be we're working with different people. So I'm going to remind them that we are all in the same bus.
Excellent. I'm going to ask you to consider one thing. I want you to not answer this, just consider it. Consider if it's in your best interest to incorporate. And I'm not going to say anything else about that. Okay? You think very carefully before you do that, please. Okay. Anybody else? Any questions, any comments, anything you want to share?
You decked me again.
It's my job.
From the time you started talking.
55 years of decking people. I'm really getting good at it. But that's the vagal nerve induction is so easy. Just breathe in, look up, breathe out, and look down, and bang, you're gone. Okay, it works like a champ. Okay, I really recommend you get 2 books because both of them are great. So if you're interested, I'll give you my phone number. Would you like it?
Sure.
310 541
541
4844.
4844.
I'm in California. If you ever want to come hang out, call me when you're in California. And Brenda is in Pennsylvania. And call Brenda. She's great too. So, all right. So that's what I wanted to say. Is there anything else you want to talk about?
Just real briefly, something that surprised me when we were talking about the different selves and the different hats and particularly the we notion is one of the images that kept coming. For some reason I wanted the we hat to be like not just a 10-gallon cowboy hat, but a 20-gallon cowboy hat on a 10-gallon head, so that other people, could wear it with me. But what kept I noticed every time we did hats, I would get 2 different ones that kept changing forth because there were different qualities that I wanted about them. And one of the other ones was a football helmet. And I realized, of course, we're just 2 days behind the Super Bowl. And then when you put your hands up in the air, I thought, oh my God, the Super Bowl is the kind of example where people forget about their individual selves. They're all engaged in, let's go team, and their attention is sort of drawn away from themselves. And I've seen this again and again in the last couple of weeks about people actually performing at their very best and having their best lives just for a moment. They've completely forgotten about them, turn their attention outside.
That's right. That's what laughter does. But also, when you clap, they're clapping. You know why you clap? When you clap, you're stimulating the vagal nerve, setting it to relax. It's a stimulation of the vagal nerve. That's why you do the finger things, okay? Okay, when you do this, you open your chest cavity and you reset the vagal nerve. When you shout, yay, push them back, way back. You're shouting. Expression is the opposite of depression. You're vibrating the throat and resetting the vagal nerve.
Nice.
Everything that we do that brings us pleasure, it has to do with neurology, which is a whole other topic that I could talk about some other time because it's a stunning topic. The vagal nerve is just stunning. But anyway, I'm not going to go there because it's too much material for right now. But just know that expression is the opposite of depression. And that's so interesting that you notice that about the football. And here I have, I'm coaching. I am coaching a major league football player right now, which is really a trip for me. I'm telling you right now, it's a trip.
Sure.
I have a little vagal nerve tip too. Like if you can't be in a place where you can yell and shout or that kind of thing, you can also hum
Yes, ma'am.
to yourself. And
Yes,
that's one way to get that stimulated to help get your nervous system back
Yes.
together. Like you can hum to yourself, and you can pretend you're scratching your back or something like that. And you can do that all by yourself when you're trying to get centered.
It's a real simple thing too. The book, the vagal nerve book, it's called Vagal Joy if you have the nerve. But the
Mhm.
vagal nerve book has simple ones. Like here's one. I'll show you how it works. Think about something that pisses you off, if you can.
Mhm.
Minorly annoys you. Are you thinking of
Okay.
something?
Yeah.
Now flip your hands up on the chair or on your legs. Just flip your hands up. Take a deep breath. Let it out. It's gone. It's gone. You can't even find it. See what I mean? There's zillions of these. There's zillions of them. So, but humming is brilliant, and it's a brilliant idea. Okay, any other thing you want to say before? Because Michael said I have to be done by 7, and I'm looking at my clock, and I got 4 minutes left.
That was great. Thank you so much.
Time.
And in that 4 minutes, Shelley, I wonder if you could let people know how they can, I mean, I heard your phone number, of course, but just how they might get in touch with you and or how to get your new book.
Mhm.
Book.
Okay, so my book, well, first of all, I have a website that's called hypnosisfederation.com. All the books are listed there. But if you want to order these books, this book, Great Relationships or Vagal Joy, they're $40 each.
Okay.
A little bit for shipping. And you can get them by calling me or by going on to the website, hypnosisfederation.com. Or you can email me because I love email, ihf@cox.net.
At what?
I particularly love phone calls, don't I, Brenda? I make Brenda crazy because I call Brenda all the time. Love Brenda.
Yeah.
Yeah, so we have morning chats sometimes. Okay, but do feel free to call me. I really like the phone.
Okay. And the address is ihf
At Cox, C-O-X.
cox.com .net.
.net. ihf@cox.net.
Mhm.
The website is hypnosisfederation.com. And the phone number is 310-541-4844.
Lovely.
Very accessible.
All right.
I may not answer the phone every time because I've been seeing so many clients right now, I can't see straight, but I will definitely get back to you. Hello, beautiful people out there. What was that? Oh,
I looked you up on your Facebook page and you came out saying hello, beautiful people.
Something that you would like to know. Michael Watson is responsible for our Facebook page, and it's called Free Hypnosis IHF. And Michael Watson helped Kathy Kennedy and I create that Facebook page. And we have zillions of forums where people share ideas, and you could be on the forums with us. You could tell your viewpoint. We'd love to have you. So that's Free Hypnosis IHF. Just call me and we'll make sure that you know. We tape them every Thursday.
Okay.
3 o'clock Pacific time. So for some of you, it's 6 o'clock in the evening.
Mm.
Guys who are in London, it's midnight. For the people who are in Australia, it's God knows when. I don't know, but we have people from all over who show up and voice their viewpoint. We love that. So feel free to join in. And I will be seeing you, hopefully, at the wonderful IMDHA conference in Orlando. I'm so excited because many of you are going to be there. And Michael and Brenda and I guess Carmen's going to be there. And I hope the rest of you show up because it's a great conference. And Robert and Linda Otto do a wonderful job putting it on. They really do. And everybody works very hard and it comes out terrific. So I hope you'll come to the conference. It's an excellent one. Okay. And for me, I'm taking people to Ireland in April if anybody wants to go to our conference in Ireland. So that's our conference for our group. Okay.
Lovely. All right. Well, Shelley, thank you so very, very much for being with us this evening. And everyone will see you a month from now, of course, second Tuesday of next month. And Karen Ann will be back with us then as well. And now to show our appreciation to the wonderful Shelley Stockwell Nicholas. I hope maybe you've got your microphones open already, but if you don't, go ahead and open your microphone, because in one great cacophonous wave of love and affection, we can all say goodbye and thank you to Shelley as we sign off. So good night.
Thank you so much.
Yay!
Bye.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Great seeing you all.